Number 1. Jeff Probst, showrunner and host of Survivor, started his own podcast during Survivor 44, and over the last 4 seasons, so many things have been said where I realize that I am basically listening to Survivor propaganda. But sometimes there are things Jeff knows and he says, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that. Like this big secret that was in Survivor 42 that literally no one saw until Jeff pointed it out to us.
We wanted to put the idol nullifier advantage into the game. And Matt Van Wagenen, he had this idea for years. We should put an advantage inside a fish. And then when they opened the fish, I was like, oh man, really? It just seems messy. And how are we going to cover it? He goes, no, it'll be great. The advantage is in the fish. And so the tribe wins the reward and it's fish, exactly as Matt has it laid out. The problem is the guy who decided to clean the fish was Jonathan, Big Jonathan, who could do anything. So he's absent-mindedly cleaning the fish and does not see in the fish is this little bamboo advantage that could change the game. And he literally cleaned the fish and threw the guts and the advantage in the Pacific Ocean, where it is still floating somewhere today. No. And if you go back and watch that episode, it's episode 4, Paramount Plus, you can see all this. It's about 11 minutes in. You can see it happen. You can see him with the knife, and it's right there. The audience didn't see it. Jonathan is hearing this right now. First time he's heard it as well.
And Matt was crying a small tear as the advantage was headed out to the ocean.
Jonathan ruined my idea.
Number 2. Okay, I think that was pretty cool. The On Fire podcast with Jeff is at its best when he tells us things like that. However, it is too bad that advantage wasn't found, but it sure is an inventive way of planting new advantages in the game. Well, as it turns out, this is not the first time Jeff and crew have tried something like this, as back during season 33, they attempted something else like that. But man, is it way more complicated this time.
They've merged, and we always give them a merge basket, and there's some paint supplies and a tribe flag. And when they opened this basket, it said, congratulations, you have made the merge. But underneath it was a very strange note. It says, most all initial liaisons begin relaxingly. In new groups, societies always disclose very advantageous news to all. Gregarious, engaging, flirtatious, indifferent, narcissistic, defensive, inauthentic. The facade is revealed starting today. Okay, exactly. We thought for sure that this note, which was so odd, would certainly spark some curiosity. Had they studied it for a minute, they might have discovered that the first letter of every word, a very 5th grade sort of puzzle to solve, formed the following sentence: male brings advantage, find it first. And they would have gone to tree mail and they would have found an advantage.
Number 3, hearing Jeff talk about the show is enlightening. I can see what he sees, even if I don't agree with it at all. What you heard in the first 2 points of this video is what the Survivor propaganda podcast should be. But now it devolves. You see, those first 2 points we went over were from the first season of the podcast and the first couple episodes. It was a joyous time. Let's jump ahead in the podcast, as now Jeff is mad at a past winner of the show, Adam Klein.
I have something I got to get off my chest. I saw a post from a former player who now has a business where they coach you, and I put that in quotes, to help you get on Survivor. But this business is very specific. Former players are charging money to potential future players with advice about how to get on the show, how to get us to notice you, what you should do or say in your video, things like that. Here's the headline to anyone who's thinking about doing this. If you need the coaching of a former player to help you get on the show, you're not going to get on the show. I see every single person who's going to be on the show. I approve every single person who's going to be on the show. I've been out there every single day of every season of Survivor. And I'm telling you from my heart, there is no formula, no tips, no coaching needed. All you have to do is be yourself. And if your authentic self isn't what we're looking for, no amount of coaching is going to change that. If after hearing this, you have your own point of view and you still feel like you want to get coaching, then great. I get it. Go for it. Just take note of what this stubbornness says about your personality. I'm being genuine here. It says that you're skeptical. You don't listen to experts. In this case, I'd be the expert. And I just need to say again, another shout out to those great casting coaches for getting Caleb ready for us. I really feel like we need to send him a case of champagne just to say thank you. And if you are listening to this and you think I'm being genuine, I'm not.
What is Jeff mad about? What is he talking about? Well, as it turns out, Adam helped a few people apply for Survivor by coaching them. And Jeff is so ticked because he thinks Adam is providing cheat codes, basically, into how to get cast on the show. And fair enough, Adam getting 3 out of 18 people on Survivor 45 is a big success for him. And go Adam. By the way, you can watch every video this channel makes up to several months early with no ads for 20% off right now on Patreon. You also pick what I make. That is how almost every video on the channel is selected by my lovely patrons. If you are interested, there's a link in the description. Thank you for your support. Now with that, number 4. So who is Survivor made for? Is it for the coveted 18 to 49 demographic that advertisers care so much about? It should be, but for Jeff, it's not. Apparently this show is made for children.
So on location, I'm like an annoying record that just keeps playing the same section over and over and over when I say to anyone on our crew who will listen, everything on the show should inspire an 8-year-old to dream one day of playing Survivor. That's what goes through my head all day, every day. That's what makes this worth doing.
Number 5, Survivor has shifted gears from 39 days to 26 to the detriment of the show, in my opinion. Long story short on how that happened is that the show was going to be 39 days for seasons 41 and 42, but the forced 14-day COVID quarantine made them have to do a shorter season for those 2 seasons because their contract stipulates what time they're in Fiji and they couldn't extend the contract. So in theory, it could have gone back to more than 26 days for Survivor 43 and 44 because the COVID quarantine had it shifted from 14 days to, I believe, 3, maybe 4 days. But instead, Survivor saw that they could film a season, the same number of episodes, for less money. And now they're just running with that. So how does Jeff and company try to convince us on their propaganda podcast that 26 days is better?
And as I've mentioned, there were people in my inner circle saying you're going to destroy the franchise because you won't have enough good story content if you reduce your shoot by 1/3. We considered everyone's opinion. We felt it would still work. So then we set out to say, we have 26 days. So how can we make this different, but every bit as fun and challenging in all the ways you want from Survivor? I think we achieved that. And as for the difficulty, to your point, Jay, I think it's pretty clear, even just from this season. If anything, the new era, brace yourself, old-time players, is more difficult.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and you can see story-wise why it does that. There was instant emotion and tears at just the thought of the letter from home. It really reminds people how difficult this game is. I mean, 26 days, not enough? I don't know. Seems like it to me.
Number 6, maybe, just maybe, if we made enough noise about the 26-day change, then Jeff will hear us and change it back. Well, here's the thing. He tends to ignore fan feedback quite often. You hear it, especially on the first season of the podcast. That is one thing I have absolutely learned. And for example,
Jeff, please no more analogies. You're not good at them, and the ones you use are annoying. We want to hear what the players think, not how the game is somehow like the movie Jaws. It's Survivor. It's not a shark.
I remember that analogy.
Bert.
I remember that. I thought the Jaws one was really good. All right, here's the truth. This one does actually hurt. And the reason it hurts is that I know I suck at analogies. But you know, hey, Bert is probably super bright. He's witty. Analogies roll off his tongue. Everybody likes him. And Survivor is just an amusing way for him to spend an hour. But Bert, this is my life. This is what I do all year. This is all I got. So imagine being me. There will be more to come, Bert. So there. That's all I got.
Now, Jeff does make changes, but he always references someone famous that told him why you should make a change, and never just like the average layman. You know, he doesn't really listen to the Survivor audience. He listens to famous people who watch Survivor. For example, with the Come On In Guys debacle, he realized why he handled that wrong only after a famous person told him. Yeah. So get famous and then you can influence Survivor back to 39 days. Maybe. Number 7, why is it almost every New Era season is copy and pasting tribe colors? The odd number seasons seem to always be red, blue, and yellow, whereas the even numbered seasons are green, purple, and orange. Well,
on this color spectrum, there are certain colors that go together. So if you're going to design colors for 3 tribes and one of them is orange, then you might also have yellow and brown, and those colors will all go together on that tribe, and they'll all kind of work together because not everybody can wear yellow. And if you do blue, then you might have purple and you might have black, that kind of a thing. So there's not as many options as it seems like there would be, especially when you add a 3rd tribe and then the 4th color is the merge buff.
Number 8, what happened to themes? Even I, as a super fan and someone who makes videos on the show for a living, can get these numbered seasons mixed up. So why can't themes return? Even if there's something shallow and basic, can't they make a comeback?
But I got to be honest, those are tough to come up with. And after doing, 40 of them, I saw the writing on the wall. So with Winners at War, we were going to end this era of gameplay. And we also realized we have to start numbering the seasons. And there are pros and cons. The cons are obvious. Numbers are not as memorable as Ghost Island or Island of the Idols. You can't make fun of the titles either. But the pros are you don't have to come up with a name like Ghost Island or Island of the Idols. I could see another themed season coming up in the future. It would still have a number in it. So if it was Survivor 49 and there was a theme, but it would have to be a very special occasion. Otherwise, the numbers are here to stay.
Number 9. Do you remember Bonu from Survivor 46? He just wanted to win 1 million hearts while almost single-handedly tanking the pre-merge of his season. I saw pretty much everyone say they didn't care for him. And for those of us who did not like Bonu on Survivor, well, apparently we're wrong, as Jeff Probst says.
If we had the chance to go back and do this again, I'd put Bono on the show instantly, because that is the kind of authenticity that we are desperately seeking. Bonu drove his tribe mates crazy. That was clear.
Yeah.
But here's what I would say to future players. I'm going to put my Survivor professorial hat on right now.
Oh, definitely.
But if you found yourself only critiquing Bonu and making fun of his emotional outburst and his desire to win 1 million hearts when there's $1 million on the line, and you found yourself asking, how did this guy get on the show when I can't get on the show? Well, you have your answer. You're just not self-aware enough to see it.
He's literally like a toddler, like when the oven is hot and you're like, don't touch the oven. And he does, and then he cries.
Number 10. Let's circle back to the fun facts, because truly the On Fire podcast with Jeff is at its best when just telling us stories and fun facts and not him getting on a high horse saying we should like Badu, for example, or else we have personal issues. So here's a fun story about the infamous 12-hour challenge in season 10.
It was Survivor Palau, and the challenge was called Bob on a Buoy. So we did it with the Dream Team, and it lasted about an hour because it was painful. So we have Katie, Tom Westman, and Ian, and they get up on this thing, and we're an hour in. Oh, they're going longer than the Dream Team. That's not unusual. They got $1 million on the line. 3 hours in, I start to sit down on the floating pontoon, and here comes the rain. Man, we're going to be here for a while. Then the sun comes out, and now we're up here like 5 hours. Now the sun starts to set, and we're in the middle of this little lagoon, and we don't have any lights. Wow. Now we're back to darkness. We barely have an image. We're desperately trying to get our marine department to get a generator on a boat across the ocean, get power to it, and light some lights, which we finally did, which is the only reason you can see the end of the challenge, which ended up going 11 hours and 45 minutes until finally Ian stepped down and Tom won and went on to win the game. One of the most epic challenges in the history of Survivor, and the first thing we said when it was over is that can never happen again.
So I ask you, what propaganda is most interesting to you? Have you listened to the podcast and there's some propaganda that I should share in another video? Comment below and let me know. Thank you for watching, and doubly thanks for liking and subscribing. I'll see you all next time.